Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. And since I got done with the RoboCop reviews, since I saw the piece of shit remake, I wanted to rewatch a film that I had seen in the theater. I had the pleasure of seeing this in the theater, came home, raved about it. Then I did another video, pissed off that it flopped, and like, why did it bomb? And of course, that's this film, Dredd. And there were reasons a lot of people gave for why it bombed, that the promotion wasn't that great, that the trailers were not that great, that the just having it come out mostly in 3D hurt it, that it was a character that people in America didn't know a lot about, that the last time people had heard of a Dredd was Judge Dredd in 1995, which was a bomb and not that great of a movie. I think making it strictly 3D, so a lot of places didn't even have a 2D version, hurt it. I don't know. I always enjoyed the trailer to this, but apparently a lot of didn't. So the whole promotion, marketing, I always enjoyed the trailer, and I thought this was the poster. I always loved the poster. I thought even if I looked at this poster, I'm like, I'd see this movie. Why would I not want to see this movie? And Dread is directed by a guy named Pete Travis. This guy directed a film that I do enjoy called Vantage Point with Dennis Quaid. And I think Matthew Fox was in that too. Forrest Whitaker. But I know one of the producers was a guy named Alex Garland. This is a guy who wrote 20 Days Later. He wrote Sunshine. He was a producer on this. He also wrote the film. Not only was he a producer, but he wrote the film. Now, I know there was some stuff in development that, yeah, I'll just read it. I'll just make it easier. In October 2011, the LA Times reported that Pete Travis, the director, was prohibited from participating in the editing process following creative disagreements between producers and executives. Alex Garland, the writer/producer, took over the editing process. His contribution was considered significant enough for him to seek a co-director credit, a situation considered unusual as Garland had never directed a film before and had not been in charge of any filming. The disagreement concerned a disapproval over the footage that Pete Travis was providing. Although the director was removed from the editing process, he was monitoring the progress of the film. A few days later, Travis and Garland released a joint statement claiming that they had agreed on an unorthodox collaboration before production began, that Travis was still involved in the film, and that Garland was not seeking a co-directing credit. So I don't know what the deal is with that. If they thought the film was too long, maybe he thought, well, some of the stuff Pete Travis shot that didn't need to be in there, he cut it back. Because it's not that long of a film. It's a 90-minute film. It says 96 minutes, but the rest of that is like credits. Literally, it's the end credits started like an hour and 30 minutes straight up. So I don't know what the deal is. So I don't know if I should thank Pete Travis for this or I should thank Alex Garland for this. So I'm just going to thank both, as well as Karl Urban. Because Karl Urban, who this is a guy who I've grown to really enjoy. He's on this TV show, which I unfortunately haven't had a chance to watch. This new sci-fi TV show where it's him partnered up with a robot, an android of type. It's a sci-fi. I think it's on Fox. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance because I don't watch cable that much anymore. But Karl Urban, he's been in stuff I enjoyed, like Pathfinder. I liked. Doom, I do like Doom. I know I'm one of the few, but I enjoyed Doom. One of the reasons was Karl Urban because I'm like, hey, I like this guy. He was really the only thing I liked in the Star Trek reboot. If people ask me what, that's a long story. I don't want to get into it. Let's see. He was good in a film called Red, which Bruce Willis was in. So I've enjoyed Karl Urban. I know he was in The Chronicles of Riddick and then a little bit in the beginning of Riddick. He's a guy I've been enjoying so far. So this is a guy I look forward to what he's doing. For not every single one, but for the most part, he did a great job as Dredd, aka Judge Dredd. Of course, based on a comic book overseas, which I have not read much of the comic. I do remember the 1995 Sylvester Stallone film, which that's one of those Stallone films that I'm not a big fan of because there are a couple good production values, some decent bits of action like the motorcycle chase sequence in the air. The beginning when he's using the law giver and you see all what's all in the law giver. But the thing is, the film is a big missed opportunity. It's a huge missed opportunity, and to be honest, I think I'm a big fan of Stallone, but I'm sorry, it was one of his weaker performances. Because to be honest, the way you should have played Judge Dredd is copy that movie, copy that performance. Because Cobra is what Judge Dredd should have been. And Cobra, weirdly enough, that character reminds me of this, which I'll get to, how Karl Urban played this. But Stallone had that the voice he uses for Cobra. You're a disease, and I'm the cure. Or this is where the law stops, and I start. Sucker. Like that low tone of voice is what he should have used in the entire film, Stallone. But when he goes over the top, it's like, I didn't betray the law. I am the law. Or you betrayed the law. Yeah, law. It's just too over the top, too over dramatic, too much. And then taking off the visor, and he has these weird eyes, and sometimes just like stiff and pompous, not pompous, but like more of a prick. His character, just they could have done a lot more with it. It just, and Rob Schneider, and just a lot of stuff, and missed opportunity, especially the fucking clones. These clones pop up, they're like really disfigured and look almost like fucking aliens. That's these clones. They pop up and then they just disappear. Or the ABC warrior, this heavy duty machine warrior robot that old Judge Dredd could fight it. No, Rob Schneider has to take care of it. Yeah, that Rob fucking That's like if you do. Fuck it. Anyway. I'm not a big fan of the 95 Judge Dredd. That's one of those Stallone films that I thought was a big disappointment. But this film, like I said, I saw this in the theater, saw it in 3D, had a great time with it. It's great now to be like, hey, I got to see this in 3D in the theaters, because not a lot of people did, because it flopped, and it sucks. It's one of those things that a good movie, a damn good film, that fucking flopped, and that sucks. A lot of ass. I'll get into the film, but real quick, like, I know there's talk that because of how the video sales, the home media sales, because it didn't do well at the box office, but at home it did well. But they're still unsure of a sequel, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of petitions, and, maybe, they go, maybe. Maybe's a maybe. Maybe's not a yes. Fuck maybe. Maybe. Don't give a shit about maybe. Maybe's a maybe. It could be, it would be, it should be. It's what it is what it is. That's what it needs to be. It is what it is. It's happening or it's not happening. When they're filming, then I know it's happening. And would I like to see a sequel to this? Yes. If they don't fuck it up. But there have been a lot of good films that have had really piss poor sequels. Taken 2, for example. The first Taken is a great movie. Great action film. Taken 2 is a piece of shit because it has piss poor editing that it's like the editor was schizophrenic, or the editor had like the Tourette syndrome on the keyboard. So anytime he tries to edit action scenes, he's like, fuck, just pounds on the keyboard or pounds on his computer, and there's the scene. Plus stupid shit like the fucking daughter throwing grenades off a rooftop, so the father, Liam, needs to go, oh, you're closer now. Throw another grenade. there's bad guys all around, and you having your own daughter throw grenades off a rooftop. Yeah, that's subtle. So, I already did that. I already did a rant on Taken 2, Electric Boogaloo. Fuck that movie. That's what I'm talking about. That's a really shitty sequel to a really good movie. So if they make a Dredd 2, do you think they don't give it a good budget? Because it's like, well, this film bombed. Is it going to have much of a budget? Or are they going to make it on the cheap side? You know, are they going to give us some shitty director like John Moore or Olivier Megaton? Some shitty director. Just a lot of sequels have fucked up. So I would love to see a sequel, but there's a good possibility they fucked up because they would not possibly give the money behind it because, well, this film didn't do well, so we gotta make it cheaper. Or they'll have some pretentious, pompous, bullshit plot to get in the way of what people enjoyed about the first movie. Or they'll put some, well, it bombed because of this, so they'll change shit about this movie, or they'll change shit that make it. To be honest, I don't want that much of a different movie. I want Judge Dredd going in and kicking some more ass. You can throw in some other different types of bad guys, as long as Karl Urban's Dredd kicking ass. That's what it needs to be. Straightforward. So, whether a sequel happens, yeah, I'd love to see it, but I'd be leery on if them fucking it up. Now, getting to the film itself, the film, what I enjoy about this film, the reason I praise it so much, is this is my kind of action film. This is a film that is just straightforward. It's not pretentious. It's not talking about the philosophies of the human condition or how our society happens to be or any type of philosophical bullshit, because sometimes, not all the time, sometimes movies don't need that. An action film doesn't need that. It just needs a film that is just hardcore, straightforward, badass, simple plot, to the point. I want to watch a Dredd film. This is what I want. I want Judge Dredd going into someplace kicking ass. And that's what you get. And that's why I think a lot of people enjoy it, because it is what it is. It's not a film trying to be this, trying to be that, and then failing and falling on its face. And what it does, I think it does very well. There are moments of this that, for those, people ask me what's a favorite film of mine. That'd be a film, Cobra. That's why I put it up there. Because that film to me is one of those, is very short, to the point, like 90 minutes. Stallone kicking a lot of ass, saying some cool one-liners, and kicking ass 11 different ways, just wiping out bad guys. Just needed some gore in there, which I heard was cut out. And if there's ever that word print, I want to see it one day. But it started out with Stallone giving statistics of the society, how many crimes, how many stuff is what's happening out there. And then he has a standoff with a bad guy, similar to this, where Karl Urban, which I know some people are like, well, you don't like Christian Bale and The Dark Knight Rises and his voice, but you're okay with this, it's the same voice. I disagree. Some people pull it off better than others. Clint Eastwood can pull it off. Christian Bale, not in those movies. Kurt Russell can pull it off as Steve from New York. Some people can pull it off, some people can't. Karl Urban could pull it off. It was low and it was sort of raspy, but it was not laughable. It wasn't ear bleeding. It fit the character perfectly, and Dredd it was simple. That's how I wanted him. He has a job to do. He's going to do it. No questions asked. Great. Sometimes that's what I want. And that's how he was. Uh, he's breaking a new partner, a rookie, Olivia Thirlby. She does a solid job. You find out that she's sort of a mutant. She has sort of psychic ability. And I remember thinking, oh god, okay, he has a partner. The idea of Judge Dredd a partner, but she worked out well. The actress did a good job. She was not annoying. She wasn't just a damsel in distress all the time. Not at all. She had a little bit of an arc at the beginning. She's unsure about certain things. Like, for example, she's supposed to kill someone. She hesitates. Then she does it. At the end, she is stronger. She is more surefire. She's willing to kill when she has to. So she has a little bit of an arc. You see that. But it doesn't have to put a hammer and jam into your face about it. The musical score by Paul Leonard Morgan does a good job. It has sometimes sort of a 80s synthesizer theme to it. Once in a while, it reminds me of a John Carpenter type of musical score, but it has that sort of 80s synthesizer to it, which I thought really fit the film well, including. And I mean, the plot is very simple. It's you have this bad guy, which is a woman, Lena Headey, woman who has these scars on her face. Lena Headey, she was in the Sarah Connor Chronicles as Sarah Connor, and she did a good job as a villain. She was cold, but at the same time, he was like, okay, this bitch is crazy. There's something up with her, but she didn't overplay it. She wasn't annoying. She wasn't, I'm crazy. No, she was cold. She was calculating, and it's like, okay, this bitch is crazy. This is a bitch I don't want to fuck with, or call a bitch to her face. And pretty much, her name is Mama. She has this group of bad guys who pretty much run this building in this area called Peachtree. They manufacture this new drug called slow-mo. So you take it and it feels like 10 seconds when it's really 1 second, or 30 seconds when it's really 2 seconds. It sort of makes you see things in a much slower aspect, at least in here. And it shows how sadistic these guys are. They skin these three people. They literally skin them, throw their bodies off of the top floor of this like 200 floor building, from the inside, like all the way down to the lobby, and they go splat. It is R-rated, bloody. Before that, when you introduce the Dredd, it shows what kind of a character he is. He's chasing these thugs who they hit a bystander, and when they hit the bystander, it's just fucking blood right on the windshield. And again, kind of like Cobra, there's a standoff, and even kind of a sort of, there was like a supermarket there in that movie. And here you see a little bit of a supermarket in this little bit of a mall. And it's like, oh, any movie that reminds me of Cobra, it's my kind of thing. Because even Cobra, he's a cop, but he's a, I mean, even the strong arm of the law, crime is a disease, meet the cure. Those taglines fit Judge Dredd well. I mean, that to me is his Judge Dredd, not the Judge Dredd he made. The real Judge Dredd for Stallone is Cobra. Cobra could just have been called Judge Dredd. He even has the sunglasses instead of the visors. I mean, that's just, I don't know, can't help it. But, I mean, he has this bad guy who's got a gun on a girl, and he says, hot shot? What? I said, hot shot. Shoots a fucking flare into the guy's mouth. Guy burns up from the inside out. His face melts. And yeah, you have some bullet squibs and stuff that are CGI, which is one nitpick that, it would be nice to see a bigger budget film on the theater that just uses 100% practical blood. You're not going to get that today, unfortunately. But for the most part, to me, the CGI looked alright. It looked fine enough. Once in a while, I was like, okay, I can tell it's I can tell it's CGI blood and squids, but I do see a little bit of practical in certain scenes as well. And when I do see some CGI, some of it works well for what it needed to be. It worked well for the film. And some of it was done well, some of it not so much, some of it done well. So it's one of those things that usually would be a big problem with me, but here's a nitpick. Some of it's done well, some of how they use that. Uh, for example, when him and his partner bust into this place and all these other guys have this slow mo, so the whole sequence done in slow motion. Is Judge Dredd like shoots a guy right in the cheek, and this just blows up and blood just. And one sad thing that you're not going to catch in the theater, I mean, you're not going to catch at home unless maybe you have the 3D version. But in the theater, what was nice is that you saw the bars of the screen, and when the blood hits, it actually they did this cool effect where the blood actually went below the widescreen format, like the widescreen bars thing, like outside of the picture. So like the blood, I mean, granted it's 3D, but I'm just talking about even on the screen, the blood like flowed over it, which I thought, wow, that's kind of a cool little touch. Which I got in the theater, which I wish more people saw in the theater. Instead of, it is what it is. But yeah, these bad guys are sadistic. I mean, they're skinning people. I mean, skinning people and throwing them off the building. They go splat. And long story short, they're called in to these three murders. Judge Dredd and his new partner. Uh, During that raid, they grab a guy. Lena Headey, she looks, it's one of her men, and he's going to spill the beans if they take him in. So she shuts down the whole building. So it's two judges trapped in the building, and they gotta go from floor one up to the top, where the main bad guy's at, and they gotta survive. My kind of movie. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's like the Raid Redemption," but you gotta understand this was being made before the Raid Redemption. This was being made first. In fact, some of the people who made the Raid Redemption, they heard about this, go, "Oh shit," because these guys are doing it first, but they took a bit longer because of the 3D and special effects and stuff like that, while the Raid Redemption didn't have to deal with 3D, which will slow your filming down and such, and yeah, do stuff post production. Plus that stuff with the editing that I talked about. But weirdly enough, two films that had a similar plot, they were two of my favorite films of 2012. So you know what? Let more films have this plot. This like Die Hard, it's a guy trapped in a building, dealing with terrorists, under siege, sudden death, Van Damme's trapped at a hockey rink. Here is Judge Dredd and his partner trapped in the building, and they gotta go up. Ray Redemption, a cop trapped in the building, and they gotta go up. If I made a Ninja Turtle film, that's what it'd be. Raphael trapped in a building, Foot Clan and Purple Dragons. He's gotta go up, kick everybody's ass. That's all the movie needs to be. If I had $20 million in my back pocket, I'd make that movie today. But unless someone spots me $20 million, it's not going to happen. I just threw that number out there. I don't know how much it costs, but hey, I wish more. That's the thing I like about this film is it's just simple, straightforward, to the point. It is what it is, and they did it well. Some movies, that's all it needs to be. Some movies, it seems like they need to fill this up with all this bloated bullshit that slows the pacing down, or it's like some of these films, they want to be this Oscar contender, which you just really are not at all that kind of movie, but you're forcing it. This isn't trying to do that. It's just, hey, we want to make a badass action film. We want to make an action film, so we don't have Judge Dredd shooting the shit out of people. We don't have the bad guys have these big ass chain guns that wipe out the entire fucking floor of a building, and Judge Dredd is being chased and running while the massive machine guns are being shot, and people who are in the way are massacred and shot to shit, so they're fucking hamburger meat now. They're just they're just a hunk of meat now. Just and Judge Dredd's just getting chased, running his ass off. Well, we don't have a scene where these guys think they got Judge Dredd and they got fucked up. Judge Dredd has an incendiary, burns them all, them motherfuckers. You know, they introduced this thing with these. You think these judges are going to help them because these other judges come to the building, and you find out they're actually corrupt judges. They were paid off, so Judge Dredd has to fight them. And there's a moment where was it High X shoots and blows the fucker's head up. I'm like, yeah, that's my kind of movie. Going from floor to floor. Karl Urban, he keeps the helmet on the entire time. The look of it is great. It's a wonderful look to it. The voice works well. Olivia Thirlby, her dealing with her psychic abilities is done well. Like this guy, they have to drag this guy along throughout the whole movie because it's a suspect. Guy will spill the beans. And the beans he can spill is that fact that that place and Mama is the main provider of this slow-mo drug. It's their main operation. And so she has to get this info from this guy's head, and this guy's fucking with her in her head. She gets in the guy's head, and the guy's trying to think he can fuck with her, but no, she fucks him up so badly it makes the guy piss his pants. It's one of those films that, to be honest, there's really not many problems that I have with it. Yeah, I would love to see 100% practical blood in a movie one day, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But again, that's a nitpick here because a lot of it's pretty well done. There's some that's pretty noticeable, but when people get shot, you don't see blood. There's one scene that I think they could have done more on. It's a scene where there's like 10 guys in a room, and Judge Dredd has this sort of smoke bomb. Not smoke bomb, but this flash grenade thing. He warns them 10 motherfuckers are dumbasses, so they don't listen. Flash erupts, and they go in. And that scene, I think they could have done more with, because just they go in, you can't really see much, and I guess these guys got shot because they're dead on the floor. I think that one scene they could have done a bit more with. But really, that's the only thing, because how they take out the bad guy is great. She's rid this place to explode, and he's like, I wonder, you have this button here that's rid to this. I wonder how much of a reach that has. Gives her the slow-mo so that when she's dying, it's her mind, it's twice the fear of impact. Just takes her ass and throws her right out the window. And she falls slowly. And the way it's done is very well done. Well filmed, use of the effects. And you see from the floor's perspective her crash down in slow-mo, and when she hits it, her face breaks apart and just blood fills the whole screen. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's pretty well done. And bits of blood, the shitload of blood in this movie. I mean, this is an R rating, and it's worth an R rating. And just memorable lines, like when there's a sequence where they've taken his partner, and he's gonna put his little stamp, and he talks to the peach tree, and I don't know if I'm sure they got the quote somewhere. I just want to read that quote. This is a film that I'm going to leave some stuff out because I still think there's some people who still haven't checked this film out, and you haven't. You need to check those out. Let's see if I can find the damn thing. Quotes. And there's some fun bits of humor that work well too. But you guys can see the film to figure that out. See, here it is. Inhabitants of peach trees, this is Judge Dredd. In case you people have forgotten, this block operates under the same rules as the rest of the city. Mama is not the law. I am the law. Mama is a common criminal, guilty of murder, guilty of the manufacture and distribution of the narcotic known as slow-mo, and as of now under sentence of death. Any who obstruct me in carrying out my duty will be treated as an accessory to her crimes. You have been warned. And as for you, Mama, judgment time. And he pulled it off very well. Could have been corny, not corny in the slightest. And if people say it's corny, I don't know what to say. This is my kind of movie. Again, Mama's not the law. I'm the law. Or, as for you, Mama, judgment time. And he inflicts some fucking justice. And you have like little moments that work. Like, for example, there's this homeless guy that Judge Dredd warns him to get the hell out of there, before we come back. Then, when he's about ready to leave with his partner and they have the suspect, that's when Lena Headey, the bad guy, and they get the building to shut down so these walls come down so that they can't leave. Unfortunately, the homeless guy was sitting right under it, so it slams right on top, and when they look over, they just see this spot of blood just pooling from underneath. So the fucking homeless guy got squashed under there. It's just, ooh, shit. He's pretty much like this guy now. Fuck. That's what I mean, like those little touches. And I like the look of peach trees. You see, there's some red or some green, or some of the lighting makes me think of a lighting in an 80s film. So you have some like red lighting, some green lighting. And I seem like I'm going all over the place because this film is one of those things that Karl Urban works well as Dredd. Olivia Thirlby works well as the partner. When I saw it in theaters, the 3D was wonderful. The special effects of the city, like you see bits of the city from the outside, very well done. You see the budget was used well. Doesn't look cheap at all. But it's not too stylized and too fancy that takes you out of the film. It works for what the film's trying to be. It's a short film. Again, without the end credits, it's 90 minutes. Goes by at a fast enough pace. And hey, you want a character that actually kick some ass and be a badass? This is what you get. There's a lot of moments of it. And them, you're not going to see, okay, if you're going expecting really big, die-hard type theatrics in the action, you're not going to get that. You don't get down and dirty firefights. And I thought they were shot well enough. The camera wasn't shaking all over the place. It wasn't schizophrenic editing. I knew what was going on. The camera was sitting still. The score, again, was well done. Has that sort of 80s synthesizer type sound to it. Lena Headey, again, her character, it was cold, calculating, but wasn't over the top, wasn't annoying, wasn't irritating. There's moments that make you go, oh shit. There's moments that make you chuckle, like bits of dialogue. Yeah, it has at times sort of an 80s vibe of done with new technology. And for, a lot of time you hear always has a 80s feel to it. Well, 80s feel with a new coat of paint that would work well with this. It's a film that's really, it speaks to itself. This is kind of the hard thing to review in this because it speaks for itself. It really does. It speaks right for itself. You want a film that's to the point, straightforward, which is why I say like 5 times, and you want to see a guy, a badass, kick some ass, take some names, with a partner who she handles her own, going from the bottom to the top of the building. Some worthy sequences, set pieces, whether it be the incendiary sequence, whether it be the Gatling gun sequence. You want to see, the blood hit the fan, so to speak, instead of the shit hit the fan. Well, the shit hits the fan, but it's definitely the blood hits the fan here. It's just refreshing to see simple can sometimes be a lot better. And that's what was refreshing about seeing this film in the theater and seeing it right now. It wasn't pretentious, pompous, boring. You think you're holier than thou when it'd be so much more fun if you just took the, hey, let's just have fun, that type of route. And this film did that. And that's why it has a cult following. That's why people enjoy it. Because it's like, hey, I just want to have fun. I did that. Wow. Holy shit. Cool. More films should do that. I mean, this film doesn't need 20 minutes of Dredd pontificating about his human existence. There's no time for that. This bad guy's chasing your ass. You need to go shoot him in the face. And he does shoot people in the face. There's no time for that. There's no time to fuck around. It doesn't take 20 minutes away from Judge Dredd and deal with bullshit in the police station or bullshit with the politics of the city or bullshit. No, it's with Dredd in them or a little bit with the bad guys. It goes back to Dredd in them surviving. That's what it should be. This is what the RoboCop remake should have took points. RoboCop remake was not exciting. It was a movie that had its balls snipped and its dick snipped. Everything else snipped and sucked and raped and pillaged. RoboCop remake should have been more like this. If you're not gonna do the fucking emotion human angle well, which the RoboCop remake didn't, then go to flip side and go, okay, you know what? Let's just have RoboCop going in, fucking people up. There you go. Be a badass. He's not a badass when it's 20 seconds of him fucking up drones to yodel, yodel, yodel song. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. A yodeling song. Or have an action scene in the fucking dark which you can't see. Shaking your camera like this the whole fucking time. And other scenes. The one or two other fucking scenes. And Joe Kimman could not fucking act. This way out of a fucking phone book. What does that mean? He called for the acting school and they told him to go fuck himself. Karl Urban to wipe his ass with Joe Kinnaman. And stick his own head up his own cinnamon buns. Anyway, Dredd, kicked ass, took names, to the point, entertaining film. I don't know what more I can say. You want an R-rated blast? Dredd is the... It was great. It was great to wipe the taste out of fucking RoboCop remake. Wipe the taste out of my mouth of that. Have a double feature of this and the Raid Redemption. Or RoboCop, the original, and this movie. Just a very fun, entertaining, solid film. What more can I say? Big props to it. So thanks for watching. Take care and stay tuned for more reviews later.